Hi there, I'm Mike. What I have for you today is Star Wars The Black Series number 109, Plo Koon. I might say Plo Koon a couple times because I've been calling him that my whole life before I realized that I was wrong. So yeah. Also, before I get into the review, if you want to go ahead and hit that like button, it goes a long way to helping out the channel. But, let's get into the review. This is the last full wave of Phase 3. The last official boxes will get like this with current figures in it. Everything's switching over to the new box, so it's sort of an end of an era. It is kind of disappointing. I feel like the line as a whole is kind of going out with a fizzle. Although it's not the end of the line, it's the end of this phase. The figures are staying the same. It's the box that's changing. But I feel like it's weird because the last line they're doing in these boxes are just all reuses of figures we've had before. Plo Koon here was formerly Mace Windu in a previous life, and we'll get into that. But go ahead and take a look at Plo right here while I read the bio on the back of the box. A Keldor from Doran, Plo Koon was among the wisest members of the Jedi Order, respected for his level-headed analysis of events and unflappable calm. Here we have him out of the box. So this Keldorian Jedi is quite possibly the figure that I was looking forward to the most. Plo Koon has been on my wish list several times, and if he hasn't been, he should be, but I'm pretty sure he was on there at least once. Mostly because he was my favorite Jedi to play as on Jedi Power Battles for the PlayStation 1. Notable achievements for Plo are that he was the Jedi that discovered Ahsoka as a child. That's something. Also, he looks kind of like a cyborg. It looks pretty badass. And he can somewhat survive in the vacuum of space. He's seen more in the Clone Wars cartoon, but he looks different in those. This is based off his movie appearance, his first appearance being Phantom Menace, where he sat in a chair on the Jedi Council. That's pretty much it. So coming on to his likeness, does he look like Plo? And the answer is, yeah, he does. I'm just gonna get the things I don't like out of the way. Number one, being an alien in the Star Wars galaxy, and this is a problem across the whole galaxy, it's not exclusive to Plo, but being an alien in Star Wars means that you're basically a human with some sort of Halloween mask and gloves on. You have a human torso, or a human-shaped torso anyway. Once you kind of notice that, to me it ruins it a little bit, but still, his head sculpt looks cool. But the other downside here, being just the Mace Windu body with a Plo Koon head and hands, he's too tall. It's only like an inch. I mean, this is according to Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt, but Mace Windu is like an inch taller than Plo Koon. It's not egregious by any means, but it is an inaccuracy, and I wanted to kind of get that out of the way. I don't super care, but I know if I don't say it, someone's gonna nitpick it. But on the plus side, there is a lot going on here that I love. First of all, this head sculpt is phenomenal. This is Plo Koon. The breather mask, the weird screens over his eyes, his weird tumorous ear thing that connect down to his pointy metal mandibles. I don't even know what's going on with this race, but I absolutely love it. He looks fantastic, and Hasbro has really stepped up and done a fantastic job with this head sculpt. The paint is spot on. I can't get enough of how great he looks, despite basically being Mace Windu with a Halloween mask on. So he looks great, but what does he come with? Well, much like Mace Windu, he comes with a lightsaber. The lightsaber is actually one we've gotten before. It came with General Grievous. At first I thought, oh, he doesn't come with the proper lightsaber, but doing a little research, I discovered that is actually his lightsaber. I don't know what Grievous is doing with his lightsaber, but this is his lightsaber. The lightsaber itself is sculpted really nicely. It's a lot better than the one that Grievous comes with, a lot more detail on there. The blue blade is, and it looks good, it is removable, but much like Mace Windu, he has no place to store it. There's no place on his belt to hook it into, and there's nothing on the lightsaber with which you would hook it in. So he can hold his lightsaber, or you can just kind of throw it away and hope you don't forget about it. I mean, I guess you can put it in his little hood robe back here, but like, why? Speaking of which, the other thing it comes with is his robe. Now, it's different from Mace Windu's robe. It's a unique robe. It actually looks like a graduation gown. It's really weird. First of all, the hood thing back here is way too big. I mean, it comes down and hangs naturally, which is nice, but it looks absolutely ridiculous on his head. Like that just doesn't look, that looks like a hate crime. And I guess this is a accurate design to the movies, but he has these weird flappy things down here that aren't attached. They're just kind of flowing. While it may be accurate, it's stupid. I don't like it. Honestly, I kind of would have rather them not be screen accurate than this. It's weird. It is also sewn up here at the neck, so if you want to take the robe off, you can, but you do have to pop his head off to do it. The head pops off pretty easily. The peg is actually on the head part, and it pegs into his neck, which is different, but not too weird. You can easily finagle the robe off. He looks great without it on. In fact, I think I kind of prefer him without it on, although he's never really seen that way in the movies at all. And that's pretty much all he comes with. The lightsaber that doesn't peg into anywhere, and his robe, which looks really weird. What else could he have come with? Well, you know, he's a Jedi, so alternate hands would be great, and we'll get into more of that later. Some sort of force effects would also be nice, but I think for him specifically there is this non-canon sort of artwork where he has this gauntlet with 2 lightsabers on it, and they actually made it as a toy in the 3 3/4 scale. It is as ridiculous as it is rad, and I want it. I want them to do it. So I wish that he had that more than anything ever. So let's go to the articulation. How does he move? Basically the same as Mace. And if you want to get into the full articulation breakdown like I normally do, go watch my Mace Windu review. I go in a lot more detail. This is more of a truncated review since I've mostly already reviewed this figure. Compared to Mace Windu, it's the same pretty much. He moves the exact same. He's got his butterfly joints. He's got a decent movement in his elbows. He's got a lot of head movement. There's really not much to complain about, but there is one small improvement on mine anyway. One of the biggest problems I had with Mace is that his ankles were weird and he tended to fall backwards because of how they were molded. It seems they fixed this with Plo and his ankles move a lot better. I don't have any problems with him falling back. I'm glad they made some tweaks there because otherwise it would have been a little sad. But no, it's happy. So next we move on to paint, sculpt, and detail. And like I said, this figure is mostly Mace Windu. I say like 80% we've seen this figure before. The torso, the arms, the legs, the boots, they're all the same, but with sort of a color palette swap to be a little darker and match the on-screen appearance of Plo. The differences though are his head, which I've talked about. There's also a difference in his neck. The neck connector actually has a lot of great detail. It's painted really sharply. In fact, overall, I would say the Plo Koon is painted a lot more sharply than my Mace Windu was. But the really cool part here, the hands are different, they're unique molds, and they're painted super, super well. First, he's got his metal coke nails, which come in handy, I suppose. They're painted and sculpted really, really accurately. But more than that, the right hand is actually sculpted in a way where it's sort of a open hand to give you sort of a force power. I mean, it still holds his lightsaber, which is great, but it also could double as like a force push or a mind control thing. It's really nice that they gave you a hand that sort of does double duty versus a normal hand that could just be holding something and that's it. They do those cuppy hands, and cuppy hands are only good for holding things. You can't point with a cuppy hand. You can't really wave with a cuppy hand. It just doesn't work. So next comes want and availability. Did I want this, and how easy is it to get? Plo's been on my wish list for quite some time. I want him. It's nice to finally have him in my hands. That being said, it is a little disappointing knowing that they basically just took a figure I already had and switched the heads and hands. It's something that like a decent customizer could do, sort of a Kid Bash figure, but Hasbro did it. So, okay. Mostly just because I love Plo so much. I just wanted Hasbro to do more with him. I feel like he deserves his own unique sculpt. So what about availability? I was supposed to get these back in May. That was their original release when they first announced them. I didn't get mine until like a month ago. I don't know if that's COVID. I don't know if that's just dork side. I don't know what's going on there, but I felt like it took forever for me to get these figures. On top of that, this was the wave that Hasbro said, hey, not only are we mostly reusing different figures, but we're charging more for them. These were officially priced at $21.99 instead of $19.99. That's their actual MSRP. That might not be what you paid for it, but that is what Hasbro said because they were going to raise the price of the line to kind of offset rising oil costs and more work they're putting into it, although there was obviously less work put into these specifically. But if you want to get it, I mean, you're gonna have to order online or hit up your GameStop. I've not heard of one of these figures being found at Target or Walmart. I mean, it kind of sucks that it's not easy to get. It's priced more expensively than it should have been, and it's mostly a reused figure for something that I desperately wanted. So if we add up my score on this figure, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's not the worst. In fact, I actually really like it. It's probably my favorite of the wave overall because it's fun to play with. He looks great. I just have some little gripes. There's not one real big problem with this. It's just a bunch of little things that I'm nitpicking into a lower score. And you might say that I'm being too harsh, but Plo Koon's one of my favorites. I mean, he looks great with Commander Wolf. Honestly, I recommend him. I'm just giving him a 3.5. So that's it for my Plo Koon review. What did you think? Please let me know down in the downstairs area. I love to read and respond to all of those comments. I'd also like to take a moment to thank these people here for supporting me on Patreon at a Black Series level or higher. Thank you so much, guys. It means a lot to me. I also do have a YouTube membership if Patreon's not your thing. Also, if you want to like, share, and subscribe, that goes a long way to helping out the channel. But with that, thanks. Thanks for getting this far, and I will see you later. Bye.